For more reaction to the president's plan, we turn now to Congressman Kevin Brady of Texas, who's the ranking Republican on the Joint Economic Committee. Welcome back to the show, Congressman. Great to have you. Got to ask
Gerri.
you, though,
thanks for having me.
I know that you haven't had a chance to read this, and we only got our hot little hands on this document about 35 minutes ago. But you've heard the talking points, you heard the speech. What do you make of the fact that all of this is being financed with tax increases?
Well, it makes no sense to permanently kill jobs along Main Street so the president can temporarily create government jobs. That's, in fact, what's been wrong with his whole approach to this dismal recovery. Those tax increases, I can tell you, are dead on arrival in a Republican House, mainly because, look, you know, why would you kill good-paying energy jobs in America? Why would you kill good-paying construction jobs that come with the real estate partnerships that they classify as hedge funds, but really these are the companies that build our local office buildings, shopping centers, moving theaters, and apartments. You know, why would you limit, for example, charitable deductions at a time when we have so many disasters around the country? Those local dollars go to help local families and communities. Why would we send them to Washington? How does that improve the economy?
Well, speaking of the economy, I just read recently online a trader there saying the expectation is that this particular plan would increase growth 0.2%. That's the GDP impact. And you just heard Jacob Lew said it would not reduce GDP. Is that the kind of impact you're looking for? Are you looking for something bigger?
You know, I think you've got to have something much bigger than this. You know, we should be, at this point, more than 2 years into the so-called recovery, we should be adding 200 to 250,000 private sector jobs a month. As you know, it's a zero rate, and it's been very low for a long time. So this bill, the president's bill, we are going to work with him. We will try to find real solutions, but the way he's laid it out and the way he's going to pay for it without any spending cuts. So we'll keep this big, bloated government. To me, that's just not a jobs bill.
Well, you've called it a shopping list of gimmicks. That was your quote today. But I want you to hear something the president had to say about how important it is to have bipartisan effort on this topic. Here's the president.
This is a bill that will put people back to work all across the country. This is the bill that will help our economy in a moment of national crisis. This is a bill that is based on ideas from both Democrats and Republicans. And this is the bill that Congress needs to pass.
You know, he said it time and time again now, pass it now, pass it now. Surely there are some areas where the two sides agree. We're going to have to make some kind of progress here. The American people are tired of hearing about the impasse.
Yeah. No, I think there are one, you know, sort of Groundhog Day. We've heard these promises from the president on the stimulus, much bigger than this, a huge disappointment by almost any measurement. But yeah, there are areas like the new sales agreements with Colombia, Korea, and Panama, $13 billion of new sales for American companies, $250,000 new jobs from those agreements. We're ready to work with the president. Unfortunately, he's still holding them. He won't send them to Capitol Hill so we can move on them. But when he does, I can guarantee you we're ready to pass them.
I got to get you to respond to one other quote from the president about how this plan is already paid for.
The American Jobs Act is not going to add to the debt. It's fully paid for. I want to repeat that. It is fully paid for. It's not going to add a dime to the deficit.
Well, what do you say to that?
Unless he's planning to cut $450 billion or raise that amount of taxes in the next 24 months, that bill will add a lot to the deficit. And the truth of the matter is, we've heard this promise before, you know, pay now, spend now, pay for it later. And we're skeptical, to say the least. The American public ought to be very skeptical.
Well, you know, we just got our hot little hands on this, as I said, at the top of the block here with you, and we're trolling through it. And my understanding is one of the things we didn't necessarily expect out of this that's in there is a promise that there will be prevailing wages, union wages, paid to people who are hired for these government projects. Good idea or bad idea?
terrible idea. We already have it in many of our federal contracts. It's a mistake. What it does is both drive up the cost of these projects, it delays them as well, and then you get taxpayers get less bang for their buck. So it actually harms, I think, the economy. Doesn't help stretch our tax dollars, works against the actual goal that's stated. So I think it's a terrible idea. Bottom line is, he's trying in this whole bill to recapture the special interest voting blocks that made him president.
Guess so.
That's what this bill's about.
Well,
and that's another provision.
That would seem to be exactly what that's about. Yeah. Listen, we're going to have you back to talk more about this as you guys get down to brass tacks and really start negotiating this thing, because there is a long way to go on this.
There is. Thank you, Gerri, very much.
Thanks for being with us, Congressman Brady. All right. So which side do you fall on? Do you agree with the congressman, or do you think Obama's optimism is well placed? Here's what some of you are posting on my Facebook page.